What is a sure sign that someone is new to your hobby? Them. I got a mic. I'm just going to do it on the side. Make some extra money. Me. Okay, do you want to do ads or something? Them. No, I want to voice anime and cartoons. Sorry, want to make money at voiceover? Do ads. Want to voice animation? Get an agent and good luck. If you have an agent, then it's way easier to get higher paying gigs. However, if you're doing it on the side from home, there's some pay-to-play websites out there you can subscribe to and browse audition listings. But you do need to put forth quite a bit of time and money before you even audition. You need a mic and editing software at the very least. Depending on your mic, you may need extra equipment to hook it up to your computer. However, you'll also want to set up a space that is conducive to recording clean audio. I've been doing VO since I was 13, and I started out by setting up a closet with moving blankets and my own clothes to dampen sound. Later, when I was in college, I purchased acoustic foam and built a little foam line box to house my mic. Once you're set up, you need a demo reel to put on your profile of these audition websites. You can make fake scripts to read or just find some samples online, but potential employers want to hear a variety of tones and styles. Each clip in your reel should also be fully edited with Music SFX. After all that, it's auditioning time. Keep in mind that it's hundreds of people on these sites auditioning for the same jobs. The lower paying ones get fewer auditions, which means you're more likely to secure a gig, but the higher paying jobs can get upwards of 1,000 auditions. So, you kind of have to always be auditioning to make any money. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But I eventually stopped because I didn't even break even from the amount of time I put in and the subscription fee to the site, which was something like $400, $500. I still have my equipment, and in fact, I kind of tripped and fell into doing VO for a TV commercial airing in September. It's just a lot harder to do than many people realize. Blacksmithing. I've never forged anything, but I found some great spring steel, so I'm going to make a sword. What else do I need? First, you need to forge 200 nails so you can learn proper hammer swings. After that, you're ready to make a bottle opener. I've scrolled so far for blacksmithing. I'm new, just took a class and built my own brake drum forge with a rail anvil. The first thing I'm planning to try to make with the forge is some for tongs out of mild steel bar stock, then it's tons of hooks and nails, which I've made already, before I get close to anything else. I'm thinking skewers for something to up the skill. Years ago, after killing many bonsai, I found a second-hand Japanese bookshop in London as I was walking past. So I go on and ask for a beginner's book on bonsai. This is way before Google, by the way. Anyway, the guy gets this amazing book, so I buy it. First thing I read at home in chapter 1 is it takes 10 years to learn how to properly water bonsai and you will kill many of them. I gave up bonsai after that book. So I took up orchids because I'm an idiot. 25 years plus later, and I have now stopped killing orchids and can get them to flower, but that's literally in like the last couple of years of that time. I might try bonsai again. One day. Hi guys, I'm looking to buy a CNC router. My requirements. I want to cut aluminum, steel, titanium, and unobtainium. I'm looking for precision within 0.001 mm at least, but 0.0001 mm would be better. I need a bed at least 1 meter by 2 meters, but 2 meters by 4 meters would be better. Automatic tool changing is a plus, but not strictly required. My budget is $1,000. Which machine would be best for me? So kind of funny story. I've owned betta fish for years. I have a really nice setup I've acquired over the years. I've had a few that have lived 4-5 years, but the majority, say, last 3, have died in under 2 years for various reasons. I like to think that I take really good care of them, but I just have shit luck. So one year I decided to buy my mom one. She is in a home, very mentally ill, and she lives in a small room, so I thought it would be great to get her a friend. I got her a $40 tank from Walmart and gave her detailed instructions on how to take care of it. She immediately scrapped the filtered, heated tank for, I shit you not, a small glass bowl. Like you see a goldfish in a stereotypical Hollywood movie. I was like, Mom, he's not gonna live very long, you have to put him back and you're overfeeding him, he's gonna die. She was giving him, no joke, like 3 pinches of food a day. Think about how much beta pellets you can fit between your pointer and your thumb and multiply it by 3. Food was literally collecting and rotting in the bottom. I was like, Mom, please? You don't understand. Anyways, he's going on 6 years now and I am astounded. Everything I know is a lie. I bought 4 10-cent baked goldfish for my house when I moved in 4 years ago, just something to put on the counter and save them from being eaten by a turtle. 3 of them died in the first few hours. The other homie I have had for 4 years now. Went on a month-long trip and my roommate completely forgot to feed him. He was fine. I recently got him his own 10-gallon tank and the fool is loving it. Big goldfish energy. Under baking bread because they're afraid to burn it. It won't burn that fast. Just leave it in the oven. Ada, I just want to say, for all the droves of people saying undercooked is better than burnt, the window between undercooked and burnt, with bread, is vast. If you like raw dough, sure, good on you, but bread doesn't go from undercooked to burnt in a split second the way other things do. If your bread is still pale on the outside, you can leave it in for at least another 10-15 minutes without it being burnt, and that's being really conservative with my timings. A lot of people don't realize how much money goes into craft materials. Then they say, why don't you just use cheaper materials? For me, I'm a bladesmith. I don't use cheaper steel for the knives I make because they would get dull or chip easily. I'll put many hours into my craft too. There's no way I wouldn't factor that into a price if I listed one for sale. Edit. A few of you have mentioned spring steel found in junkyards and other things, and I do try and do that when I get the chance. I need to locate a good junkyard nearby. I created a site, https://shopbisab.com, that kind of does this. You can browse Amazon products that have been linked by Redditors in comments by subreddit, for example https://www.shopbisab.com/flashlight. It's not perfect as a lot of niche items like flashlights are generally bought direct from manufacturer or at specialty stores, but it's a good jumping off point for lots of other things. Pure, unadulterated excitement at the smallest thing. Not that I'm saying it's a bad thing, more that it's lovely to see. Edit. Wow guys, I truly never expected this comment to explode. It's been great reading all of your responses of how my comment applied to your lives, and some of the stories are truly inspiring. Thanks for the upvotes and awards. My karma has gone through the roof. If they ask how to swap an engine into their car or how to turbo their car, it's a sure sign that they're new to working on cars. The questions aren't necessarily bad, but there's so much work involved in the answer that those questions are way too vague. They're trying to get in way over their head if they don't have the basics figured out beforehand. Ditto on people asking how they can add a lot of power to a base model Mustang or Camaro. There's nothing wrong with the base model, but there's a good reason that the answer is usually sell it and buy the V8. You'd spend just as much money modding the V6 or Turbo 4, and wind up with a vehicle that has maybe the same power output as the V8 at best, but significantly worse reliability. If you're trying to make power, your money very often is best spent starting off with the model that is the better engine. Yeah, people will go camping for a week and bring a bunch of shit to survive an apocalypse but don't do anything for comfort. Meanwhile, my ass vacuum seals a goddamn body pillow and comforter, a solar charger for my Kindle, and, one time, a coloring book and markers. I always try to get people new to camping to realize it's just advanced sleeping. You aren't starting a new civilization from scratch. I remember when I played my first D&D campaign. Everyone was unexperienced, so most of us went with a really standard character. One friend had a dragonborn, outcast chief of his tribe. His mission was to get back to his tribe, form an army by befriending other tribes, then win the upcoming war. I swear to God he was more evil than the big bad evil guy. My character was like twice his size and could snap his neck just by looking at him, and he feared me lol. So sometimes I drifted him to the right direction, but I never forget when he abandoned a lost little girl or when he found a bunch of dragonborns who needed help, and first he just wanted to kill them, and when we convinced him that they would be helpful in the future he put them in a cave somewhere and forgot about them. He is true neutral. Frequent post on our music production. Hi everyone. I'm new to all this and I have zero experience making music. Never had any kind of lessons, and I've never touched a keyboard, and really all I've ever done with music is bob my head along with it in my car. I've never heard of music theory and I'm not really interested in it. So I bought a MacBook Pro and Ableton 11 and the best interfaces and microphones and MIDI keyboards I could afford. I'm going to make sick beats and change the music industry. How do I get started? When they ask for help in baking something and I tell them they can't put those combinations together because that's the chemistry of baking, you need to follow the recipe and all the basic rules of baking. Don't expect something nice to come out if you don't know your ratios for baking properly. An example would be a friend that asked if they could make lemon curd cookies by using their leftover curd and putting flour in it and baking it. I said, please don't do that because XYA. Guess what? They did it and made cement lemon flavored cookies. Wrong needles for the size yarn they're using. Buying yarn because it was pretty soft on sale and trying to match it to a project instead of choosing a project and buying the yarn with intent in mind. Since you guys seemed fixated on this one in particular, I'm talking about people who buy shitty worsted weights acrylic on sale because OMG the color. And then don't understand why it won't work for that beautiful lace shawl they saw on Rav. Or making a baby blanket out of a yarn that can't be machine wash dried. Or buying cotton yarn for a project that needs some stretchiness to it. Beginners rarely understand how the different fabric types and yarn sizes make a huge difference in end result, so there's a massive difference between an experienced knitter who understands how to use their stash and a beginner who buys whatever and tries to shoehorn it into an unrelated pattern. How many skein yards of yarn do I need to knit a blanket? Not so much a hobby as it is my career, but for many people it is a hobby. When one of my new private violin students opens their case and it's a bright blue violin from Amazon. It sounds like shit, it's impossible to play because it wasn't constructed correctly, and it was only $60. If you're interested in playing an instrument, ask an expert where to get an instrument. Amazon is never the answer. Rent an instrument until you know what you want. As an alternate history writer aficionado, there are two telltale signs of someone just starting in the genre. What if the Nazis won World War II, and usually by winning D-Day or Battle of the Bulge? What if the Confederacy won the Civil War, usually by winning Gettysburg? Both of these topics have been done to death, and usually picking the big name, really popular and well-known events to try to change the outcome. Though many historians and alt history writers agree that the war has already been won by the eventual winner at this time, so it would require changes earlier to make more of a difference. I am a chess player, and whenever someone talks about the weird pawn glitch that happens on the major chess websites, I know they are new. You see, the weird pawn glitch is actually a legitimate feature of the game. It just doesn't happen very regularly, which is why most beginners are not aware of it. It's called en passant. So yeah, to all these beginners I say, Google en passant. Showing up at the paintball field with a relatively expensive marker, gun, and a cheap, crappy single-pane lens mask. Or an inexpensive marker but with useless tactical upgrades added on. It is easy to distinguish knowledge gained by experience from simply absorbing what marketing hype tells you. The latter's easily spotted by being kitted out in brand new HK Army gear, which is obviously brand new because it hasn't started to fall apart yet. Probably half of the content on our paintball is posts from brand new players who have played once or twice, if that, with rental equipment and looking to buy their own gear, and comments in response thereto. Most of us regulars are glad to help, but it does get a bit repetitive, talking kids out of unnecessary optics or expensive barrels over and over, explaining for the nth time that the quality of the paintballs themselves is the largest determinant of accuracy. When I first started jewelry making, I would sit on the floor with a cinderbox in front of me and my little propane torch. I didn't do big things or important pieces, I just loved what I was doing. Flash forward 2 months and husband bought me a top-of-the-line bench. And I bought all of the gadgets to go on my rotary tool to make nicer pieces. I made about a dozen pieces, then lost interest because I now felt I had to do it and didn't enjoy it as much as my little piece of floor and cinder blocks and the little pieces I was making. I'm back at the bench now after a year and my ability has grown, though it is not yet perfected. But still, I would prefer my little piece of floor. Sometimes it is better to leave well enough alone. As a music producer, rare vinyl collector, and aspiring music historian, the shit on the radio is still good. It's just different. People need to stop being so territorial over their genres. Genre is a man-made construct anyway. I'll go from listening to Doja Cat to O's Mutants to Pavarotti in 10 minutes, and others get mad all the time when I give them the stock answer of I listen to everything because apparently I can only choose just one thing. People just need to enjoy the goddamn music and shut up. Edit. Another thing, anybody who thinks any music ever wasn't at one point shit on the radio is delusional. LMAO. And to add another telltale sign that someone is new to music that I've gotten numerous times, you must be real special to be a girl who knows all this music stuff. 1. Believing that it's the tools that make the product, not the worker. Artists, photographers, wood carving, musicians, heck people with curly hair, etc. all get asked questions on what they use to get their result. Great pick. What lenses did you use? Love this drawing. What pencils markers did you use? While equipment can help make the product better, it will never make the product good. Edit. To reiterate, I'm not saying tools aren't important. They help a lot, but you won't know how to use the tool properly without proper knowledge and talent. Surprised MTG was this far down. I was going to post they load their deck with huge multicolored creatures and have a terrible mana base. Me and some friends were at a gaming shop many years ago and this kid comes by, wanting to play a game with us. We say sure, and he says his deck is nothing but hoopin'. He spreads his deck, showing us that the whole thing is 5-colored dragons, wyrms, other big legends, etc. We start to play. We're trying to take it easy on him because he's new, but it's hard because he can't get out the right mana. He continues on, insisting that once he gets his creatures out on the board, his deck will be nothing but hoopin'. To this day, me and those friends will say nothing but hoopin' at anything that seems amazing at first glance. My soul and I dance West Coast swing, and so far the biggest things we notice are one of two things. The girls that are new never ask anyone to dance. They just wait to be asked. Which I get it can be an intimidating atmosphere surrounded by dancers who look like they're all doing it right while you don't know anyone or anything and are used to the idea that men ask for dances. The guys that are new treat it like a dating game. Like every gal they ask, they're asking to dance to try to hit on their dance partner. This is far more annoying to us than girls not asking to dance because the guys treating the dance events as a means to an end, boning, can make everyone feel really uncomfortable and only reinforces the negative stereotype that dancing with the opposite sex is purely a sexual activity rather than a fun casual hobby. While absolutely true, I find it tragic that so much excellence is discouraged for those who don't have privilege early in life. Whether they're in bumfuck nowhere, or stuck in an apartment, or simply have asshole parents, or maybe they just aren't mentally there at 4 years old. The decision is made almost by early elementary. My kids both dropped gymnastics early on. I told them, I will do as much practice as you want, but you have to remind me and you have to not drag your feet. Well, guess what? They weren't motivated, didn't get moved ahead, got bored, and dropped out, in spite of flawless execution and natural talent. This happened with like 6 different sports. It just goes to show that passionate mentality is like 95% of any type of excellence. Money is probably the other 4%, and all the natural ability in the world is only going to get you so far. They bitch about other people that are even newer than them. These are not letters, it's font. This sign is so poorly designed. Wow, what is this visual identification? It's so bad. After some months in graphic design you understand that not whole fucking world is and needs your knowledge. Gas station in the middle of nowhere can't give a shit about their sign. Or they will hire cheap artists to do their jobs for small amount of money. And I also don't give a shit anymore about people who don't know specific things about design. It goes for lots of hobbies. For example, people brewing coffee will complain about people calling espresso, etc. Or people getting into craft beer will think buying Budweiser should be punished like crime. While people just want to get drunk and some booze and that's all. In gaming, let's say, specifically, the Sims community, you can tell a person is new to the games because they typically ask the same questions. How do I do cheats? Or what is CC? What are mods? Or I wish I could. Insert mechanic the game does have but the player didn't know about because they didn't read up on the details of the pack they purchased. Another funny one is, okay, I bought the game in packs. What do I do? And then it's like, did you not read what each pack includes? Another one is the naps. In Sims 4 there's a mechanic in the game called a nap. Players new to at least a pack that includes naps always assume that there's a bug in the game because Sims are suddenly all cooking nothing but cakes, or wearing bags on their heads. And no, it's not a bug or a glitch. Your NPCs voted for a neighborhood law that now demands all Sims in your area must bake cakes, non-stop. Also, people reporting how bugged the game is when they haven't updated their mods or their CC in months. That's a big one. Had a kid I did a project with once come over last night because he doesn't know how to cook, so I show him some things sometimes to be nice. I showed him fura cake, rice seasoning. He asked how much you add. After some back and forth, I discovered he meant how much do you add to the water as you boil the rice. This kid has thought all along that you add things like oregano and basil to the pasta water as you boil it. Now I am sympathetic because at one point I didn't know how to cook, but I am just stumped where you would get that idea. Edit. I agree with you all that it makes sense to season the rice as it cooks sometimes. In this instance, fura cake is meant to go on cooked rice, and I was referencing the pasta water in my last sentence. I could have been clearer. Dunning-Kruger effect. In table tennis I've seen so many garage-level players who beat everyone in their neighborhood and everyone they've ever played with ease walk into a club and demand to play the best player. The best player is a former Olympian, second best was on a national team, and there's a few coaches, collegiate-level players etc. that float at that level. I've never seen an amateur player rated higher than what's considered a kid's rank. Other sports have this, but I think table tennis has more because people play in a garage and beat equally clueless friends with no way you can return this serves and think they are about to turn pro. On a fun level, said former Olympian would often beat them with the back of a book or cell phone or with their left hand just to give them some extra humble pie. An Oscar or a goldfish. I've been keeping fish for many years and, unfortunately, they are probably the most often abused and killed pets in the world. People think they can just get any old tank, fill it with water, and throw whatever they want in it. Oscars are highly predatory, intelligent fish that get huge. They need a 75-gallon tank as adults. But they look gorgeous and are tempting to newbies when they see them as babies. Goldfish are one of the most abused. The cheap fish store goldfish are usually comets, and they also need at least 75 gallons. These fish can live to be 10-15 years old and are actually really resilient. When a tank is too small, and likely poorly maintained, ammonia and nitrates from waste build up and literally burn the fish to death. This would be like you trying to breathe the bleach fumes while the chemicals eat away at your skin. If you have a goldfish that died before it was 5 years old, you straight up murdered it.